I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle,
the Christian Girl's Guide to Modern Dating.
We're here to help you date with confidence while honoring the Lord and to show you that your identity and contentment are in Christ. We're going to give you the tools that you need to date successfully and be set up well for success in a godly marriage.
If you've ever felt like you didn't really belong with any of the extremes in dating today, well, you're not alone. Neither did we. And that's why we're here looking for the middle.
Hello, friends. Welcome to a very special episode of Looking for the Middle. We have, once again, as is usual for this season, called an audible. I literally don't think our schedule did us any good this year.
It did not.
It didn't. But it's been a fun ride so far, and y'all seem to be enjoying it. Our numbers have been amazing.
Thank you.
So thank y'all very much. I also just learned that in the relationships subcategory, so there's like society and culture and podcasts. Bethany and just informed me of all this, and then relationships is a subcategory of podcasts, and we're in the top 100 relationship podcasts in the U.S. You guys, it's amazing.
Yes,
so,
thank you for listening and telling your friends. We are so appreciative.
Yes,
not to mention because we have been the biggest slackers on social media the past 3 weeks.
3 weeks, y'all.
Just also part of why we're doing this episode, because y'all, life has just been crazy.
So crazy.
Not bad. It has just been so crazy. And so,
especially this month, like April has been insane.
I don't know what the deal is, but it has been non-stop. And so we sat down today to record, and we were like, we have nothing prepped for what we were planning.
Nope.
And we were like, you know what? We're behind on all of our Couchcast questions that we get, just questions in general. So I said, hey, why don't we do rapid fire Q&A? Let's catch up on some questions, get you guys the answers that you are looking for. So that is what we're doing. And we're kind of throwing it back to old school Couchcast. We have our bowl here with, what do we put, 10 questions in here?
9
Close
or 10,
to
I
it,
think,
9 or 10. And what we're going to do is we are going to switch off drawing a question out of the bowl, and then the other person will answer it, and we'll go from there.
It's going to be fun. But
yes,
I think you forgot it's your question of the day.
But speaking of questions, it is my question of the day, and I don't know what I want to ask. Oh, here's one.
Oh, that was the fastest you have ever come up with one.
I'm eyeing the cookies over on your counter over there. So, Kristen.
Yes.
What is your favorite kind of cookie?
Oatmeal raisin. Which,
I love oatmeal raisin.
Thank you. I feel like such an old lady and get shamed whenever I ask that or get asked that question.
I think it's smart to like oatmeal raisin because it's always guaranteed you'll have plenty of cookies at whatever you're at because no one else eats them.
Exactly.
I think they're really good. Also,
there is a cookie. There's this place called Crumble where we live, and there was a key lime pie cookie that Lauren and I got one night to watch The Bachelor. Well, we got the whole like spread, but that one was my favorite. It was
interesting,
really good.
Okay,
yeah,
I can't trying to imagine. Was it like a sugar cookie?
It was a graham crackery kind of cookie with the key lime on top and filling with little like graham cracker pieces crumbled on top.
That sounds so good. And where is this place exactly? Is it on my way home?
Depending on what way you go home. It's not far from where you used to live. It's right across from where the Starbucks, or it's next to where the Starbucks is, kind of in that strip.
Yes. I know where it is. Okay.
I'm trying to be vague where people can't like be super creepy, but where you'll know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. Nod, wink, wink.
Oh gosh. What's your favorite cookie?
My favorite?
I know this.
What is it?
Snickerdoodles.
Yes, those are my favorite.
Yes.
Y'all, they're so good and so dangerous. I can literally only make them at holidays because I will eat all of them.
She is definitely got a problem or an obsession. We won't call it a problem.
Yes. I love
It's a healthy obsession.
So much.
They're so good.
But yeah, Snickerdoodles. Hands down. Favorite.
Yes. Good call. Good question.
Thanks.
Those cookies, by the way, on our counter, Lauren made, and they're really good.
They looked really good. When I was over there I was finding a bowl for our other questions.
I love having a roommate who bakes a lot.
The kind of guinea pig you don't mind being.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's jump into this episode. Do you want to draw first, or do you want me to?
I don't know. I asked the question of the day. Do you want to ask the first question?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Remember when I used to like bang around the box? Y'all, if you know what we're talking about, you are like OG listeners.
For real, though.
I'm not gonna take the one off the top. That's lame. When we were recording in my closet.
Yes.
Man, if you haven't listened since then, it's worth going back to like a season 1 episode. 1, just to hear the quality difference, and 2, for us to talk about sitting in my like 4x4 closet.
It was really more like 3x3 because you
by
had
the time
foot's worth of shoes around the border.
Exactly. All right, Bethany.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Is it okay to want to be in a relationship 1 minute and then not the next?
Oh, if it's not okay, then none of us are okay, right? Like we've all been there. One day you're like, oh, I just want a boyfriend. And the next day you're like, I love my life. Like, let's be real. We've all been there.
It's true.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think my question to the question would be, why are you going back and forth? If you're being motivated by maybe like selfish reasons of you just want things to be done your way and you like it how it is and whatever. And so most of the time you're like, oh, I love my life because I can control everything. And then you're just like, oh, but I wish I had a boyfriend to like do stuff with me, the things I want to do, the way I want to do them, da 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 da. I would say maybe look at some of your motivation, but I think that's just a normal ebb and flow of, you know, one day you're like sitting at home and you're like, oh, I wish there was someone here. We could watch a movie or whatever. And then the next day you're out hanging out with friends and you're having a lot of fun. And it doesn't even cross your mind that you would want to be with someone. I think it's totally normal.
Yeah. I think I've definitely had these moments where I'm like, hey, I'm okay. I also have these moments whenever I witness and or hear about a couple getting in an argument. Because I'm like, woohoo, so glad I am not dealing with that. That's really any argument because I'm non-confrontational. So that's what I'm like, you know what? I'm okay that I don't have a person, that another person in my life I could possibly get into a confrontational situation with. But that's normally when I feel like that happens. But no, I think you're right. I think it's very normal. And
I wouldn't overthink it.
No, I wouldn't either. I think more than likely, you may not necessarily be like, oh, 1 minute I want to be in a relationship and the next I like consciously think I don't want to be. I think it's, in my mind, it goes back and forth between, oh, I really want a boyfriend or, oh, I'm not even thinking about it. It's not like this hard, oh, I don't want one. It's just not this like overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I really want this to like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm good. Like, I'm okay. I mean, obviously you're okay, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not at the forefront of your mind, I guess.
I would say take a look at your motives. Are you being selfish? Do you have a commitment fear? Are you worried about having to commit to some, like this hypothetical someone even, you know, which I guess can go back to selfishness a lot of times too. Things like that. But if none of that's like a factor and you just kind of notice, that it's more at the forefront than other times, I wouldn't worry about it. Like, it's just life. Don't overthink it. Don't make it a big deal. Just go on.
If anything, I think it's healthier that it ebbs and flows instead of this constantly being on your mind all the time.
That's very true.
So maybe it's a better thing that it does kind of come and go.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. Good question. Your turn?
Okay. Let's pick another one.
Oh, man, I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
We can cut it out if I say anything stupid.
We can. I might not, but we can. Okay. Okay, here you go. Are you ready?
Yes.
Is it okay to have a celebrity crush if you have a boyfriend or are married?
Gosh, I hope so. No. Great question. I think there's a difference between having a celebrity crush and a celebrity obsession.
Absolutely.
Or even just like, you may not call it an obsession, but the way you talk about your celebrity crush, I think kind of depends on whether it's a good idea or not. If it's just all in good fun, like, oh, like I have a crush on Dansby Swanson. But
do you think about Dansby Swanson except for when he's like on the TV and you see, oh, there's Dansby Swanson?
No,
exactly.
Never.
Maybe let's define our terms a little bit here. Like, when I talk about a celebrity, apparently I can't talk about a celebrity crush. Can't get the words out. No, but when I talk about, okay, I have a celebrity crush. We all know how I feel about Idris Elba. Totally my celebrity crush. Mm-hmm. I have not seen him in a movie in probably a couple of years.
So you're going to say, I haven't seen him in so long.
I haven't. Are y'all We've really kind of fallen out of touch with the whole pandemic thing, but, you know, he'll come around. My point is, though, I haven't seen a movie with him in it in forever. So unless I'm watching The Office and it's the few episodes that he's in, he never crosses my mind. Mm-mm. But whenever he's on screen, I'm like, oh, he's really pretty. Mm-hmm. The end.
That's it.
Do I think there's anything wrong with that?
No.
No.
Gosh, no.
But if I have posters of Idris Elba in my room and I talk about him all the time and I want to tell people about where he went for dinner last Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, now we're crossing over into obsession territory.
Well, and I think you need to be careful too, like if you're in a relationship, which was the context this question was asked in, you don't ever want your significant other feeling like they've got to compare themselves to this person to be seen as attractive to you. So like if you're always talking about like, oh, why don't you like wear something like that, or why don't you like do your hair like that, or why don't you blah 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 blah, then your significant other is probably going to start feeling super insecure.
Guy or girl.
Exactly. So I would say, you know, it's fine, it's fun, like everybody knows when we're watching a Braves game and Dansby comes up to bat, you tell Kristen to pay attention, and she does, and I'm locked in, and then whatever happens after that I was like, okay, well, let me know when he comes back to bat, and I'm good. So but then that's the end of it. So I think as long as you're keeping it in a healthy place, I think it's totally fine. But yeah, you don't want to get to the point to where it's an obsession. You're talking about them all the time. You're comparing you're saying your significant other should be more like them.
Right.
Because that's not healthy for your relationship in any way.
No.
So just
that's
be careful.
not healthy if you're not even dating someone. Like that kind of obsession would be something that you could be single as the day is long, and I'd be like, hey, maybe don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't recommend that, period.
Yeah, well, because then you're also getting like, if you're setting an expectation for your future significant other based on your celebrity crush, that can also really set you up not so well.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind.
One last thing I would throw out to the girls listening, because I think it was a girl that asked this like you said, in the context of being in a relationship, but keep that celebrity crush just a harmless little crush, which basically all a celebrity crush is, ooh, I find them attractive.
Yeah.
The end.
Right.
But remember, like, he may have a celebrity crush too. And I feel like we keep this very one way. Like, it's fine for girls to have celebrity crushes and the guy that they think is so cute in the movie and this, that, and the other. But as soon as a guy mentions, ooh, it's the same exact thing, we're like, oh,
how dare you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if that's something that would really bother you for a boyfriend or a husband to have, it doesn't bother me. Like, it just, and that's just me. I'm not saying it can't bother anyone.
Yeah.
But if that's something that would really bother you, then yeah, you definitely don't need to
have
one either.
No. And then you learn too, like, and hear me, like, I'm not saying you hide it, but like, if you're going to talk about your celebrity crush, you talk about it with your girlfriend. So it's like this fun, like you do now, like this lighthearted of, when you, me, and Lindsay are all hanging out and Dansby comes up, no one's shocked, no one thinks it's weird, and it's fine. Whereas like, you don't need to talk. I don't need to talk to my. I remember when I was dating my ex and he found out that I think Lindsay was the one that told him that I had a crush on Dansby. I immediately felt like, I don't want to talk about this with you. Like, I don't want you to feel weird. Like, I don't want to be talking about some other guy, even though I will never have anything to do with him. It's so weird. So just maybe know your audience too, of like,
very good point.
Just think about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Moving on to our next question.
Moving on.
Okay.
I'm so glad you got this question. No, it's a good one. Okay. You'll like this one. What's the best way to start a conversation with a guy on a dating app?
Okay.
Bethany's ready.
I am.
Guns
because
a-blazing.
I have a standard opener that, for me personally, works really well. For a long time, I was batting 1,000 with this opener. Got a response every single time. It tapered off some. It's probably like 95%, but still highly effective. Mm-hmm. Are y'all ready for this? I'm going to give it to you free of charge.
Take notes if you're not driving.
Yes.
Write this down.
Okay, so here's what you say on an app if you're trying to open a conversation with someone. You say, hey, fill in the blank name, whatever, Bobby. Hey, Bobby.
Always Bobby.
And then I say, I never know how to get these things started, but I always like to get the really important stuff out of the way first. ... And then I say, so, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Cute, witty, funny.
Works every time.
Works. For Bethany.
Yes.
Because Lindsay tried this.
I was so proud of myself with this. I'm like, oh my word, y'all, I have cracked the code. I have figured it out. I told everyone.
This is my favorite story because Lindsay literally, first guy she uses this line on, because Lindsay came to us and was like, what? I hate starting these, which I do too. And she's like, what do I say? Bethany gives her the line. Works for me every time. First guy Lindsay uses this line on. And he goes, I don't really like ice cream. It's not good for you. I'm like, first of all, how dare you? Second of all,
you don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Move on.
No. Second of all, how dare you? Golly. What kind of person? I don't like ice cream. It's not good. Yeah, well, there are a lot of things that aren't good for you. Okay. Hate on those things. Hate on smoking. Like, hate on drugs. Hate on, like, other things. Do not hate on ice cream.
It's one of those things where afterwards you think of, like, 40 amazing comebacks, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would have been like, yeah, well, people who don't like ice cream aren't good for me, so bye. Like,
exactly. Well, you just made my decision very easy. Have a nice day, sir. Yeah. Gosh.
So I feel like we should put a disclaimer. Yeah. It works really well for me.
Yes. I know. So, I will share Lauren's line. She had a good one that had a lot of success on Bumble. She would. This is so her. I love this so much. But she would ask, okay, so and so, you've got $10 to spend at Taco Bell. What are you ordering?
I love that.
Love it. And this is when we went to Taco Bell a lot more than we do now, because we used to live across the street from a Taco Bell. So we were making very regular trips at our old apartment. But guys were like, they loved it.
What's the theme here?
Food.
Yes.
Because everybody eats.
And they're dudes.
Exactly. Where if you have to ask a girl, like, what is it from a Cinderella story? Would you rather have a rice cake or a Big Mac? And she's like, a Big Mac. He's like, you just eliminated like 70% of the girls at our school. But yeah, I mean,
so start with food.
It's a light topic. No one's gonna be like, oh, I don't eat, sorry. Like, I'm not, everybody's gonna say. Now Lauren did have a couple people say that, ew, gross, Taco Bell. And she was like, okay, swipe left, thank you. Like, have a nice day. Because even like, there was such a difference if a guy, like, maybe he didn't eat at Taco Bell, but he would like still kind of be funny or like be a good sport about it. Yeah. And then there were guys who were rude and be like, ew, you eat Taco Bell? Like, I don't need that judgment. No. Thank you. Like,
it tells you so much more than just answering the question.
Yeah. Like, if you can't even like have fun with this.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's really hard to start a conversation with a stranger, especially on Bumble, when you may not have a whole lot of information to go off of.
That's what I will say. Yes, I have a line I would use on like traditional dating apps, on eHarmony or Match or Christian Mingle or one of those places. I wouldn't use a line as much as I would ask them a specific question about their profile, because there's enough information there to actually have something to kind of grasp onto. But if we're talking about apps, I know we kind of went with very specific answers there, but in general, I think a key is ask something or start with something that's not, hey, how are you? Mm-hmm. Because everybody says that. So like, you're setting yourself apart by asking a fun question more. Mm-hmm. But then two, we were kind of joking about the food, but it is a universal thing. So you want to ask a question that has some universalness.
Widespread.
Sure. A widespread answer pool. Because even if someone doesn't like ice cream, like, be like, oh, well, I don't really like ice cream, but chocolate pie is my favorite. Like, if someone can't roll with it at all, it tells you a lot more than just, ooh, I'm not answering the question.
Yeah.
I was thinking though, too, didn't we do 20 conversation starters? Didn't we do a PDF at one point that has like 20 or 25?
I'll put that in the newsletter.
Let's put that in the newsletter tomorrow. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, guys, go to our website, go to our Instagram, subscribe to that, and you'll get the PDF tomorrow. That is 20. Is it 20 or 25?
20 or 25.
At least
remember.
20.
Yeah.
Conversation starters.
Yeah.
For online dating.
Yes. Website is lookingforthemiddle.com. Instagram is at LFTM_podcast. So you can go there and find all the things. All right.
Moving on.
Next. Your turn.
Okay. Oh, this is fun. We say that every question. Next time I'm going to be like, oh, this is not fun.
Remember when we used to say like, we're so excited.
Yeah.
When are y'all not excited?
When like we stopped though.
That's true. That's a great point.
I think we just quit pointing it out.
Mm-hmm. We absolutely did.
Oh man. Okay, so are you ready?
I am ready.
How do I get a guy's attention if I'm shy?
Whew.
I'm glad you're answering this one because I have no experience being shy.
That was literally Bethany's
I
response.
chatted up the checkout ladies at Kroger when I was like 2.5 or 3. Like, they knew all about my life. That's
Freaky,
for sure.
the mixed up terrier.
Yep. Oh man, if y'all haven't heard that story,
That was in a previous episode. I can't remember
I don't
which
remember
one. Bethany had a mixed terrier, and its name was what? Frisky.
Yeah.
But she introduced the dog as Freaky, the mixed up terrier.
To all the checkout ladies.
The cashiers. If you ever needed a story to picture more closely what it's like to be friends with Bethany,
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
I haven't changed.
Not at all.
Since then.
Okay, how do you get a guy's attention when you're shy? I think so. I would not consider myself a shy person. However, I am not normally one to go start conversation with somebody that I don't know. Whereas Bethany, like, I follow Bethany around at parties that I don't know a lot of people at. So she can kind of get the small talk going and I can just jump in. So
use that though.
Yeah. So, like, use your friend.
Yeah.
If you need to. My first thought, when I'm thinking back to, like, okay, I really wanted to talk to this guy, but I didn't know what to say. Like, I complimented him on something. So I remember when I was in LA, there was a guy on my trip who I had a crush on, and very quickly, shocking to no one. And I was like, okay, how am I going to, like, talk to this guy? Because there were like 30 of us there. And so I really liked his shoes. And so we kind of like got in line to, like, we were next to each other to get on the bus. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like your shoes. And he was like, hey, thanks. Like, I really like yours too. And we just start talking. And that was all there was to it. Was just this one little, like, and who doesn't like to be complimented, honestly? So, like, that's one thing I try to do. I think if you're shy, maybe not getting in, like, a huge group where you feel like you're not necessarily going to be the first one to talk or, like, initiating a big conversation. But if you're in a, like, try to get in a group where maybe it's you, him, and, like, 2 other people or 3 other people, and there is a level of, like, yes, I know you're shy, but also, like, you want to get a little out of your comfort zone. I'm not saying you got to be the loudest girl in the room. I'm not going to say you got to talk constantly, because you do want to be yourself.
Yes.
But at the same time, you know, if you're in this little group and he's talking and you think, like, oh, well, that's really interesting, maybe, like, ask him a question about what he's saying, or just showing interest in him. You don't even have to flirt. You can just be like, oh, I really like your shoes. Oh, that's really cool. When did you go there? So, like, you come here often? No. But, like, I'm literally having to think, like, okay, I'm going to this event tonight that I literally know, like, 2 people at. So I'm like, what do I need to tell myself before I go tonight? But yeah, just try to find smaller groups. Use your friends if you need to. Find your more extroverted friends. Be like, hey, will you go with me? Because this guy's going to be there that I really like. And I want to try to talk to him. So can you, like, tee me up a little bit?
Yes. Make sure you tell your friend who's outgoing, talkative, whatever, though, that, hey, I'm interested in this guy. So that they're aware to, like, push him your way and pull back kind of thing. Not just chat him up themselves.
Yes. It's like the classic rom-com scene, like in The Wedding Planner, when Jennifer Lopez and then who was the other girl that always plays the best friend, I can't remember her name, and Matthew McConaughey, and they're all 3 at this outdoor movie, and she goes, oh no, I forgot I have to help my grandmother's aunt's sister's daughter change her printer cartridge. So don't want to be late. Y'all have fun. Bye. And then leaves. But she's the one that got them to the movie.
Right.
And then she, leaves with the worst
grand
excuse ever.
exit.
Yes. So, but yeah, I've done that with Bethany before where I'm like, hey, I know this guy's going to be there tonight. Yeah. Can you, like, try to get us, in a conversation or in the same, whatever. And then do your thing and go talk to somebody else.
One thing I'll just kind of encourage you guys with too is Kristen talked about, get out of your comfort zone. So I just want to say it is possible to get out of your comfort zone, but stay in your lane. From the standpoint of you can get out of your own comfort zone and ask something you wouldn't normally, approach something you wouldn't normally, but don't become something that you're not. Don't, in doing that, act like someone that you're not. Be yourself. Ask questions that you would ask. I mean, we've talked about this before. Kristen's been like, oh, what do I say? What do I do? I'm like, oh, say this, or I would say that. Da, da, da. She's like, yeah, you would say that. But what should I say? And I'm like, oh, well, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. So get out of your comfort zone, but stay in your lane. Be who you are. Yeah. And also, there's nothing wrong with asking questions you already know the answers to.
Great point.
Very practical questions. If you're somewhere you're not familiar with, you say, oh, do you know where the food is? Or, oh, do you know where the restroom is? Or whatever. And yeah, you just passed it right back there, but you can still ask it.
Yeah. Just get yourself on his radar. Like,
yeah. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to start a conversation from the standpoint of, oh, I have to get to know this guy at that point. It's just starting a conversation. Get the words flowing, get on his radar, and then let it go from there.
Yeah. And I would say too, one other thing, if you're more shy and it's going to take you a little bit to kind of like open up and have more conversations with a guy you're interested in, as opposed to if you're like a Bethany, for instance, who can cover a lot more ground in a shorter amount of time, which is fine either way. Be patient with yourself though, because what you're going to be tempted to do is compare yourself to someone who communicates differently or has a different personality than you do, and be like, oh, well, like she's already talking to so-and-so, or they've already gone out and they've only been around each other 2 or 3 times, and I'm still, it's okay. It just may take you a little bit more time. So give yourself some patience and some grace and know, okay, even if I'm going to see him 4 times this month, my goal is just to like talk to him a little bit, make him aware that I am there, and then build on that. You don't have to just be like, hey, I'm here, let's go. And you're like in the inside dying. You're like, I don't do this. Like, still, know yourself and know how, you're wired, and be patient in that. That's okay.
Yeah. 2 quick last things that I was just thinking of on this. One, just kind of in the context of, this person already and you're like, oh, I kind of like him. If you know him already, then he's going to know that you're quieter and shyer and all these things. And so just talking to him at all is going to be a break from a pattern. And we talk so much on here about patterns and deviating from patterns and sticking to patterns and the changes in that, what that says. So just speaking up and talking to him is going to be a change in a pattern that may jog his mind a little bit. So just keep that in mind. And then the second thing is, if you're a little bit shyer in person, there's probably a pretty good chance that you're more comfortable texting, typing, Facebook Messenger, whatever. So I think I thought of it when you were saying, if you're going to see him 4 times in a month, kind of have a game plan almost. Well, maybe make your game plan to kind of make inroads enough to either get his number, add him on Facebook, one of those things, to where you can text him, to where you can type, to where you can on Messenger or something. And maybe you're more comfortable there. And then maybe you can build a little more of a foundation, a little more of a camaraderie, a little more relationship, it's not necessarily romantic, but just a little more, you have a relationship with this person that will then make it easier in person because you know them better. So.
That's a great point. Even if like the first time you message him, you're like, hey, are you going to so-and-so this week?
Yep.
And
well,
he's like,
that shows interest of like, oh, she's asking about me.
Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah. Like, okay, great. Me too. I'll see you there. Yep. Like, and that's it. But then he knows, oh, she was wondering if I was going to be there. Yep. She's going to be there. And so then when we see each other, like, oh, hey, good to see you. And then see what happens.
Go from there.
Good call. All right. I ask if you're ready every time. Of course you're ready. You're in front of a mic.
That doesn't mean I'm ready.
All righty.
Okay.
I'm glad you got this one.
You keep saying that. It makes me worried.
No.
Makes me think, oh, it's probably about online.
It's not. This one's not. How do I get to know a guy well enough to know if I want to date him?
So in the question, they're saying, I know like this person is in my circle.
Yeah.
In some
know
capacity.
of him, sort of.
And probably it means, oh, I think he's cute. But how do I get to know him well enough to see if I'm actually interested? Honestly, I don't know that this takes a ton of strategy. Because think of it this way. This is a guy that you're like, ooh, he's cute. Maybe I would like to date him at some point. I don't know. Well, just let it be what it is. I mean, if y'all are in the same circle enough for you to think you might be interested, just stay in those circles. Spend time around it. Maybe just kind of be more attuned to what he's doing, what he's saying, and just kind of notice, pick up on things he says, listen when he talks. But I don't think you have to go way out of your way on this one. I think just let it be, let it flow organically, because if you do too much in this instance, I think it could easily get misconstrued as more interest than there is. And then if he reciprocates, but you're like, oh, wait, no, I'm actually not interested, it kind of gets a little messy.
Yes, I would agree. I think in-person interactions are your friend in this sense.
Totally.
I would not suggest, if you're trying to figure out if you want to date somebody, texting them a lot, messaging, all of that. Like, you need to have a basis of, oh, I would be interested before you start messaging a guy. So in person, like, the more you can be around him in person, and I don't think it takes that long.
No.
I mean, after hanging out with a guy 3, 4, 5 times, depending on how long you're hanging out and you're actually interacting with him, but you're learning, what's his sense of humor like? How does he treat people? How does he talk about other people? Is he a positive person? Is he a negative person? Is he confident? Is he arrogant? Is he shy? Is he outgoing? You're learning all those things in a few conversations. So
your brain's comprehending a lot. It's taking in a lot of stuff there.
Yes, especially if you think he's cute, because you're honed in. Let's be honest. So I would really focus on being around him in person, and don't hear this in a creepy way, but like, don't always be in the same conversation with, kind of take the time to observe a little bit from a distance.
Don't hide behind a tree creepy. And binoculars observe. Exactly.
But got your wire, like talking to your friends. Just kind of observe, like, oh, does he let, people, does he open doors for people, or does he let people go in front of him in the food line, or does he, how does he treat the waiter, the waitress, if y'all are out to dinner, things like that you would get on a first date, maybe like in a different context, but you're getting to observe now in person. And
you can just observe a lot of like group dynamics. Does he take, like, you can learn a lot. Does he take the lead? Does he hang back? Neither of which are bad. It's just pure observation at this point.
Yeah.
Is he looking for ways to serve? Is he showy about it? Is he under the radar? Like, you can pick up on a lot. And I was just kind of thinking too, as far as like specifics of what to do. We talk a lot. We've done couch casts. We've done episodes. We've talked a lot about how to let a guy know you're interested. So there's plenty of stuff for those. Go back and listen if you want to. So if you take all of those principles and take one giant step back from that, that's what you should do for this. So we say, how do you let a guy know you're interested? Be around him and make sure you're attuned to listening to him talk, so that he can see that you're doing that and he knows, hey, she's paying attention to me. Okay, we'll do that same thing, but one giant step back. Don't be glued to his side, but if there's groups, kind of be in that group. You're not talking to him solely, but you're in his orbit. You're not like up close and personal, though.
Yes, I 100% agree. That's a good point. Okay. Anything else on that one, or we want to move on?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
My turn?
Your turn.
Oh, this one looks long.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's because I messed it up when I was writing. I had to cross a bunch out and start over. Okay, this is going to be a fun one.
Ooh.
What do you think it means if a guy I've been talking to for a while on a dating app starts updating his pictures?
Ooh. Long question, short answer.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good thing in your case. No. Because, let me say this with as much love and compassion as I can. If he was happy with where things are and he was not trying to impress anybody new, most likely he's not updating. He's just thinking, I want to talk to this girl.
Right.
And she's already seen this. Seems interested, whatever. If he's updating things, thinking he's probably more like 1 foot in, 1 foot out situation. So probably not the best sign for you to pick up on if you're in that situation. Would you agree?
Yes. Okay. I've been in this situation several times, and unfortunately it has never ended well for me. I mean, there was one time I was talking to a guy we had met on, I don't know, Bumble, Hinge, I don't remember, it doesn't matter where, but we had talked for a while and actually gone out once.
I remember.
And so then afterwards we're talking, we're still texting, whatever, And he sent me a picture, like texted me a picture from something during that, that weekend or that day, like, oh, look, here's what we're doing here, blah, very current. And then I had logged in on Bumble or something. And in the chat list, I was like, that's a new picture. And I was like, that's the picture he just sent me. Like, it's a new picture that was taken that he had gone in and updated with. And I'm like, I guess the only reason you update your pictures is to attract new interest. Like, it just is.
Yeah.
And I hate that we don't have a redeeming quality to this one, but I just don't. I don't think it's a situation, well, unless you've gone out several times and you're like, okay, I'm dating this person, and then they start updating, then yeah, I think it warrants a conversation. If you've just been texting on an app and then they update pictures, I don't think you confront them about it. I don't think you're at that place, but I think you just kind of, maybe instead of initiating a lot of conversation and pushing a lot, you kind of leave that in his court to do. Don't be aloof, but see if he's going to actually do that. And if he does, then go from there. But my experience has been, once you take your foot off the gas and let him do that, it fades out pretty quickly, which, as sucky as it is, that's what you want. If he's not in it, like, get out of it and move on as soon as possible.
You want to be with somebody who wants to be with you.
You have not said that in a while.
I haven't. It's about time I drop that in again.
Yeah.
So.
And I do think this is one where it's the same for guys and girls. So, like, a lot of times we say, okay, think about what you would be thinking if you did this. And I do think this one is the same. So think about if you were talking to a guy and you're like super into it, are you going to be thinking, ooh, I need to go update my profile with this cool picture from this weekend? No. You might save it on your phone in case it goes badly with this guy because you look really cute in the picture and you're going to put it up later, but you don't do it while you're still talking to him. The only reason you do is if you're not really into it.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Okay. We good on that one?
Yes.
Okay. Last question.
Oh, man. Oh, I have to answer it first. I just realized.
You
oh, man.
do.
And you look like it's a doozy.
It is.
Okay.
What do you do if you want to be friends with your ex, but you think he might still have feelings for you? Whoa, baby. It's like from Full House. Whoa, baby.
Yes. Oh, man. I want to go watch Full House.
I started it, and then another thing I started in quarantine that I didn't finish, but I kept falling asleep during the same episode and got irritated that I have to keep going back and start it over.
And you'd never know what happened. You had to watch the whole thing.
I know, right? I'm so bad about that.
That's so funny. Okay. Then I'm stalling.
Yes.
Okay. My first question. Well, no. Let me just answer it first.
Yes.
Point blank, and then we'll go back.
Yes.
What do? You got to cut it off.
You got to not.
Yeah. Yes. You don't. That's the answer. What do? You don't. And that's what you come listen to us for, guys.
Yes.
No.
You're so welcome.
As tough as that is, I think this is a really great opportunity to say, okay, here's what I want, but here's what would really be best for this other person, and be selfless and kind and loving towards that person. Even though you're not with them still, like, those things don't quit applying. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what we're all called to as Christians, to everyone. And so I think you have to take several steps back and really let that be. Now, if this is someone who's a friend before and you want to continue being friends with them, I'm not saying that has to be forever, but if you really think he still has feelings, especially if you were the one to end it, it was not mutual, he was still into it and you ended it, he probably still does have feelings for you. Because he didn't quit having them, you ended it. And that's just think about how tough that would be for him to see this girl, but then also the mixed signals that may send of okay, she broke up with me, she's not interested, but she still wants to hang out all the time and do stuff, and she talks to me like she did when we were dating, and we're still friends and whatever. That just really sends mixed signals. And probably will keep him in that place of having feelings longer. So I think at least for the foreseeable future, you have to cut it off. My follow-up question would be, and I'll just ask this to you.
Oh, okay.
Is why do you still want to be friends with him? And I'm asking you because I know you're not friends with your exes. Like, that's
yes.
the rule you have.
Yes.
So I would, like, evaluate that. Like, what is your motivation?
I will speak to the one time I feel like I did want to stay friends with an ex because we were friends before. And I think that was the hardest thing for me because I had never dated a guy I was friends with first. And so it was really easy to, once the relationship ended, regardless of who ended it, be like, okay, well, we didn't have anything before this. So this is all I know of you.
Yes.
So let's just cut it off.
This is our only relationship context.
Right.
Really.
Exactly. Yeah. Where with this particular guy, we had been friends for a year before we dated. And even when we broke up, because I didn't want to break up with him, it had just kind of hit a crossroads where we weren't lined up in our thinking on how the relationship was going to progress. And so I just felt like I didn't have another choice.
Yeah.
I didn't want to break up with him. And after we broke up, I missed him. Like, I missed talking to him. I missed, like, texting him. And, like, we still saw each other all the time, which really complicated things. It was fantastic. I broke out in hives more the next month than I think I have in my entire life combined. It was terrible. Thank Lord it was cold.
Yes.
So sweaters for the win. Whoever invented the turtleneck, I'm going to need to like write a thank you note to, or like go, if they're in heaven one day, be like, thank you so much.
That 1 month really came through for me.
Yes, exactly. So I think that when you break up with somebody and you still want to be friends, I think that a lot of it is just you miss that, like, yeah, there may have been parts that you didn't like, but you do miss the good parts. You do miss the conversation. You do miss joking with them. You do miss, like, and a lot, because this was also the guys, y'all, I mean, while we're here, this was the guy that I almost got back together with a handful of times. And that was a lot of the pull, was because, oh, we have all this history. We have, like, when I talk to you about this, I'm not having to re-explain things. I'm not having to tell you anything new. You know my family, you know my background, you know this, you know that. You were here for when this happened.
Yeah.
And so you miss that, like, sense of familiarity. There's, like, a comfort there. And I think it's really tempting when you get out of a relationship to only really remember those things. And so you want to gravitate back towards that, and you want to kind of save that. But what you don't realize is it's kind of an all or nothing. Like, you can't, once you've dated somebody, you're never going to go back to the way it was before you dated them.
I think a large part of that is, and you can tell me if this was the case for you, because I know it's been the case for me, of most likely you didn't go from purely platonic friends to dating.
Oh, gosh, no.
You may have been purely platonic friends way back at the beginning. But for most of your quote unquote friendship, one or both of you liked the other one and you were flirting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just friends. Are you dating? No, but you're not just friends either, technically.
Very true.
So you can't go back to that.
Yeah.
That whole part of it.
Yep.
Like, that's messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're going back to, what you're thinking, oh, I want to go back to being his friend, is really, it may be uncharted territory, or it's going to be way, way, way back at the very beginning of being friends. So you're not ever going to go back to what it was right before you dated.
No.
You're going to go back to something way at the beginning, or it's totally new ground anyway.
Yeah. It's like you want to separate the two. Like, you want to be able to say, like, oh, I can be his friend and I can have these conversations without bringing up the history, without flirting, without this, without that. And you can't. It's like, I know there's another analogy, but I can't think of one.
That's the
So
only way
it's
you
like
to be friends with them.
Yeah, like, it's like when you make Kool-Aid. Like, you can't go back and separate the water from the powder once you've mixed it. Like, you just, that's a real sophisticated analogy for you. But
use the analogy of, you pour sugar into the bottom of your Kool-Aid pitcher, and then you open the little packet and pour the Kool-Aid particles in.
Particles?
Powder? I don't know what it is. I haven't made Kool-Aid in a while, y'all. And you stir that up. Okay, and then someone says, okay, now I need you to get all the Kool-Aid out and all the sugar separated.
No, you're not going to.
That's ridiculous.
No.
So it's kind of the same thing.
It's
You're
the
not
same
gonna
thing. No.
get this all
No.
neat and tidy and put back into separate boxes.
No. And I'm going to go back.
And what?
Shocker to the golden rule here.
Yeah.
If the tables were turned and he had broken up with you, you're devastated, you still like him, and he comes back a few months later, it's like, hey, I still want to be friends, and we can still talk and stuff, but we're not going to date. That would, well, if we're being really honest.
Be like, did I mean nothing to you?
My thought first actually would be like, oh, good, there's a chance.
Yep.
Like maybe he's rethinking this and this is my in. And so, okay, well then you're going to set yourself up for like false hope, basically. And then you're going to be talking and you're going to be going back, and then you're going to probably like cross this line back and forth. Oh, that was flirty. Oh, he said that, but he, whatever. What does that mean?
Overanalyze every little thing.
Yep. And then it's going to be so much more hurtful than if you just draw that boundary. So, and you would want him, even though you might be excited at first that he still wants to talk to you, you are going to end up getting hurt. And so deep down, you wouldn't want him to do that. So when you're in the other position, you've got to know, yeah, he may like want this per se or say it's okay, but it's not fair to him, and it's going to be more hurtful than it is helpful. So,
and especially, it's one thing to think you're going to go back to be friends and it's this mutual thing and you're on the same page and it's great. And then you realize, oh, we're not. And then but it sounds, I mean, from the way the question is, you knew beforehand, he probably still has feelings for you. And to forge ahead there is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, I would agree. So you want to be respectful, and you want to have his best interest at heart, because you do care about him, even if you're not dating him anymore. Like, I would hope you still care about him enough to not want to hurt him anymore. You may already have.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
One final little tip or thought, I guess, is if you have already had a conversation about this, like post breakup, give it some time, and you've said, hey, you want to be friends, and he doesn't really want to, and whatever, don't keep asking.
Yep. Nope.
He will let you know if and when something changes, but it's not your place to continue. Hey, can we be friends now? Hey, can we be friends now? Oh, hey, has something changed? Can we be friends now? You have to let it go.
Yeah. I 100% agree. All right, y'all. We will wrap it there. What a fun, rapid fire. We need to do this more often.
I liked this.
I like this too.
If y'all liked it, let us know, and we'll.
Yes, and if you have a question you want us to answer, we are always taking Couchcast suggestions. There is a button in the link in our bio on Instagram at LFTM_podcast, once again. And you can send us any question you want us to ask. Those are anonymous. So if you want to stay anonymous, that's a great outlet. Or you can always DM us on Instagram. But we do pull mainly from the Couchcast form.
Yes. It's easier to keep track of.
Yes, because we get DM'd about other things, or like Me Monday or whatever. So we have to sort through all of that. So if you have a question you'd like us to answer, whether on a future Couchcast or on a future episode like this, go ahead and send that to us in that form.
And we just went through a bunch of them. So
yeah,
if you send one,
the likelihood of it getting answered pretty quickly
higher, because we have gone through a bunch. Every once in a while we have to do this, go through like this. We did the 12 days of Couchcast back at Christmas time to kind of clean out the backlog.
Yes.
So, and also if you have sent a question and we haven't answered it, we wouldn't be offended if you send, it's not like we don't know who sends them. So we try to keep up with them as much as possible, but sometimes we look and we're like, oh, well, we just kind of talked about this, so let's, not. And unfortunately, with it being anonymous, we don't have any way of saying, hey, go listen to such and such episode. So if you have a question that you still have and you don't think we've talked about it, send it again.
Exactly. Good reminder. All right, y'all. Well, we hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We will be back on Friday with a backstage pass.
Dun, dun, dun.
So stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle.